Hi, my name's Shane. I use she and her pronouns, and this is the fourth and final session in a short run of Trophy Gold, Jesse Ross's game about desperate treasure hunters and the extraordinary lengths they will go to satisfy their drives. This game was organised as part of the Gauntlet gaming calendar. The Gauntlet is an online community that plays and discusses a whole lot of indie games, story games, OSR games, all kinds of things like that. If you'd like to find out more or get involved, come play a game with us. Check out gauntlet-rpg.com. If you are watching this and haven't played with the Gauntlet before, or if you have, we have the Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend coming up the last weekend of June, and that will be a whole bunch of one-shots, all free, all a great opportunity to try out a Gauntlet game and see if you like it and want to stick around. We have already talked about safety tools, so just to let anyone watching this know, we have a list of lines and veils. Some subject matter that you might want to keep in mind for this session is that we will see some violence, probably gore, body horror, things like that, and potentially harm to vast and majestic ancient creatures. I will let the players introduce themselves now, so you just tell us your name and pronoun, anything that you want us to know about you, and also just introduce your character so that we know who our cast is today. So just going left to right across the character keeper. Gerald, can I get you to go first?
Sure. I'm Gerald, he, him pronouns, and my character's Mahira, also he, him pronouns. Mahira, well, their drive is to bring freedom to Trollus, and they are a former farmer, now ranger. That's it. Thanks.
Oh, and Richard?
Yes, my name is Richard, he, him pronouns. I am playing Parda, she, her pronouns, and Parda is a disgraced academic turned book smuggler who will have her revenge on those who wronged her.
Excellent. Blake?
Hi, I'm Blake, he, him. I'm playing Talia, she, her, who is basically legendary incarnate, and everybody knows.
Amazing. And Remy?
I'm Romy. I play Revel. Both of us use they, them pronouns. Revel is an expelled apprentice magician who will do anything to become part of the swirling court. And their philosophy is kind of, why the hell not?
Excellent. So where we are up to in the story is that our intrepid treasure hunters are inside a Balindrikia, an ancient sea serpent. They're believed to be extinct, believed to be a myth. It turns out they are just unimaginably large, and you are standing inside its body. You kind of got dropped off in the mouth with the promise that the captain of your ship would send a boat back after 24 hours to rescue you, bring any treasure that you had collected back to the ship, should you have survived that long. But as you climbed down into the depths of its body, the rope that you used to get down is no longer available to you. The epiglottis is closed behind you. So an exit route is certainly a live issue, I guess. You've encountered some strange and terrible things in there. And also, thanks to a devil's bargain, you know that the Balindrikia is pregnant and that you will be encountering the offspring in some form, presumably soon. You found that the reason the sea serpent had been sick when you first encountered it is that a ship had gotten stuck inside it. An entire cargo vessel had perforated the lining between its lungs and its stomach, gotten terribly infected. But, rather than expressing gratitude for the help you tried to provide, the immune system, the Balindrikia sort of taunted and threatened you through the voice of the deceased captain of that ship, who had melted and moulded into the chair that she sat on. And a great wave at the end of the last session washed you from the deck of that ship on further and deeper within the body of this creature. Is there anything that you wanted to cover or ask about just by way of recap or clarifying where we're at? All right.
Well, where are we now? What do we see around
Wow.
us? And that?
You just see the churning water as it washes you away from where you were standing. Maybe you feel some panic overwhelm you as you lose your bearings. Parter, I wanted to ask you, you know that the scholar who journeyed in here with you, Mr. Whittle, is an agent of your enemies at Yogyakarta Lyceum. As this sort of water, takes your feet out from under you, starts washing you who knows where, do you worry about perhaps dying with your enemy right beside you, or how are you feeling right now?
Well, I mean, honestly, if I can, this person isn't my ultimate target. So, honestly, it would be better if I could somehow emerge from this whole thing with him beholden to me in some way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So it doesn't take too long before you all sort of realize that you've come to a stop. You start to get your bearings, get back to your feet, and look around you. You've been washed into a large cavern, the largest that you've seen yet in here. Every surface is occupied by golden human-sized orbs that are tended to by skittering immune bodies, those kind of multi-armed centipede-ish creatures that you saw previously, and something else that you haven't seen before. These things are maybe the size of a horse, like it's a quadruped. It doesn't have a head that you can see, but it does have a tail and two long, strong arms that they are using to move these eggs around. And as the water touches the eggs, they begin to burst open, and you see these little eel-like spawns start to spread through the cavern, through the water that's splashing around everywhere. The spawn have closed eyes, little black orbs under translucent skin, and curiously small claws on the edges of their fins to pull themselves across the ground. And you see that the way that they are going to birth themselves from here is that they are starting to tunnel out of the lining of the creature through its flesh and through its skin. And the cavern shakes and begins to collapse around you as they start tunneling their way out. You think that you might be able to follow one of them out of one of these holes that they're making and try and swim back to the surface, see if you could survive that way. Or you could try and retrace your steps back the way you came and get out somehow through the mouth. But it's clear to you that you won't be able to stay here for very long. Things are collapsing all around you. So obviously this is a new set. The set is called The Gilded Beyond. The set goal is get out alive. I know that between you do have 3 tokens, so you can cash in your tokens right now and achieve the set goal. Will make for a very short session, but that's fine. However, if you do that, not everyone has enough gold to cover their burdens. So if you escape before they get enough gold, both of those treasure hunters will be unable to pay their debts and will be thrown into debtor's prison on return to civilization. Talia, I guess in character, the way that I would frame that for you is that you see that you could just follow one of these things out. You could swim out of here right now, but you know that you wouldn't be able to cover your debts if you were to do that. How does the great and legendary warrior Talia, whose only goal is to retire in comfort in the Lavasti countryside, how does the prospect of finishing your life in a debtor's prison, how does that find you?
I think I'll die fighting when they come to get me first. I'll gesture to one of these things, should we just follow it?
I can't. I can't go back. I can't go back yet. There's got to be some more gold around here before we go.
Yeah, I mean, Mahira, what a terrible irony it would be for you if you set out to bring freedom to the people of Tyrolis and instead you ended up in chains yourself. So without having had a close look, certainly it occurs to you that any of these eggs must be extremely valuable. if you could get one intact back to the surface. What about you, Revel? What are you thinking?
You guys are no fun. We're not done yet. Throw that away. Let's go. We can figure this out. We didn't come all this way. I do not like boats. We didn't come all this way to stop.
So then what? After your motivational speech, do you lead by example, or do you step back and let somebody else?
Absolutely. I'm going to take a closer look at some of these eggs and see how feasible it is to carry some out if they're, fragile.
All right, we'll go ahead and make a hunt roll. Do you have any skill or equipment that would make this easier? Wow, session is off to a fine start with a 6 on a single die roll. So you get a token. I think what you find is you look more closely at the eggs is that the eggs aren't all sort of built the same. Mostly, the vast majority are hatching around you. And you can see, the ones that haven't hatched yet, there's something struggling inside. You can see those hatchlings. But some of them seem to have a thicker membrane than the others. And so the hatchling inside doesn't seem to be able to break out. And those ones seem less fragile, like you might be able to get it away from the wall. The immune bodies do look at you suspiciously as you examine the eggs.
I'm kind of very, very gently don't worry about it. I'm just looking. I'm just patting away at it. And I say, I think it's time to get the snakes a little brother.
I did wonder if Talia's appeal to young serpents might come back.
Yeah, I don't know about these things. I think they're more like lobsters than snakes or something. It's a bit. Do we think we can get to the stomach from here, or we got no idea how to get there, or?
Make a hunt roll if you want to see if you can get to the stomach from here.
I guess I'll be looking to Mahira since they seem to know animal anatomy and stuff.
Yeah, Mahira's been waiting for their opening for precisely that. He's been studying, the way that the creatures have been leaving, but also where we appear to be inside the beast's body, and whether or not the tunnels are all the tunnels are going out. Perhaps there's some tunnels that are going in another direction, and I'm doing my best to triangulate it with my sort of anatomy and knowledge of beasts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so hunt 2.
Sounds good.
Nice. So, I guess you notice there's 2 things that you observe about it. One is that you can climb your way back up into the stomach from here. The second is that makes no sense. You've never heard of a creature where the sort of reproductive organs connect directly from the stomach like that. This is profoundly unnatural. What do you say to the others?
Well, I don't think we're going to be able to make it to the stomach directly. But Talia, you're pretty good with a sword. We could try an indirect route if you wanted to carve into it. But
I've got a pickaxe.
I think
Well, I had an idea, which was if we can. I want to try to kind of harness and steer one of these larvae to see if we can direct it to tunnel where we want it to. And I have, yeah. So that's my idea.
I'll stand guard if you want to try and do that. I've got no idea how you're going to do this, but this is interesting.
It sounds spontaneous. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm delighted. I'm tickled.
So yeah, tell us about how you would do this.
Okay, so can you describe these again really quickly for me? Their salient features.
Yeah, so they're like kind of eel-like little things. They have fins. They have tiny little claws. They're kind of studded with flecks of gold and silver. Translucent skin. Is that the info that you want?
What are they digging with? Are they like
the tiny little claws?
Tiny little claws?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm gonna try to use a I want to try to rig up a grappling hook. To it, like hook it like around its neck in a way that might let me steer it a little bit.
Okay. Well, this clearly seems like a risk roll. Let's see. Where's the risk roll? What you hope will happen is that you'll be able to sort of steer this thing and use it to choose a direction out of this chamber.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So everyone, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, he's unable
to
steer it. Yeah, he's unable to steer it. Sorry, she is unable to steer it. Parda, yeah, I mean that's the most obvious one. I'll get that one off the table.
Thank you. Blake?
The little eel things think Parda's dinner, and they all swarm her.
Yeah. Romy?
Parda hurts it real bad.
Yeah. And I think that I'll just round it out with the other creatures in here, not the larvae, but the immune bodies, the nursemaid, etc., decide to stop you. So take one light-colored die if the task is something you're skilled at, or because you're using a piece of equipment. So I assume you'll get that die.
Okay.
Now, devil's bargains. Does anyone have a devil's bargain that they would like to propose? Romy?
Once it's wrangled, it becomes completely submissive to Parda and is now like imprinted on her.
Blake?
The nursemaid sees Parda's actions as some sort of, it's like the start of a mating ritual or the start of a challenge. It's some sort of social misunderstanding, and they've got to sort out, the body language and the behavior and stuff because of that. So they're approaching, and there'll be some sort of social confusion there.
Amazing. Gerald?
Can't think of anything, sorry.
I think my devil's bargain might be that the things tunnel far enough through the lining of the stomach that the chamber starts to rapidly fill with water, and you're all at risk of drowning soon. Richard, would you like to take any of those devil's bargains?
I think I'll flood the chamber.
Okay, great. The famous last words. So, and you can add a dark die if you want to, but
I'll wait and see how it goes. Yeah. 6.
Oh, nice. So you succeed. Describe how.
Well, I think like I'm just like I kind of get the idea from who is it that's figured out where we need to go? Is that Mahira?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of like managed to hook it, and it's like I'm steering it with this, and it just starts to rip its way through the tissues and creates a nice clean hole for us.
Yeah. So I think that the nursemaid thing, the headless things that are sort of floating around attending to the eggs, will definitely come for you as this happens. And I would like to get someone to make a risk roll to see if you make it out of the chamber before it gets to you. But I'm reluctant to get you to do 2 risk rolls back to back. Maybe it would make sense either. Well, I mean, anyone who wants to put their hand up is welcome to.
Yeah,
Because
I'll
I'm
do it.
busy wrangling this. So yeah.
I'll be rear guard and let them go first.
Okay. So you're just trying to hold off the nursemaid long enough for them all to get away.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Well, what could possibly go wrong? I mean, I'll just throw out that it turns into an actual fight. Like, you're not able to just hold it back. You have to engage it.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I think that the tissue kind of heals behind us, and he's left separated from the rest of us.
Great.
Good one. Anyone else? I mean, those seem like 2 pretty solid things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the other thing that could go wrong is that it turns out that the thing just can't tunnel through the flesh over here. That it's only made to be able to tunnel out one direction. Anyway, a nice selection. Take 1 light-colored die if the task is something you're skilled at. I would think it probably is.
Yeah, athletics and weapons. I know how to hold people off.
All right. We'll take another light die for accepting a devil's bargain. Does anyone want to propose a devil's bargain? I cannot resist the entire mass of hatchlings mistake you for their parent and start following you everywhere. Anyone else with the devil's bargain?
I think that like all this activity is like starting to cause the beast pain, and it starts to spasm in response to what's going on, and creates like a beast quake.
Nice. Gerald?
It was as though we were on the same wavelength, except for I was headed towards those spasms shoot us all up through the tunneling tube, kind of thing.
Remy?
Alternately, the spasms cause a slime excretion.
Nice. Blake, will you take any of those devil's bargains?
Can I take all of them?
I think that I just checked the rules. I think technically you can take them all, but you'll only get a die for one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for us to get out of here, let alone carry around a bunch of infants and stuff. So I won't go with the mommy thing again. We'll go with the quake and slime.
All right. And you can add the dark die if you want, but it's probably better just to start out with your 2
Not at
light
this
die.
point.
Yeah.
Yep. So risk 2, 1, or
just risk 2. Oh no! You guys are on fire today. You succeed. We'll describe how.
Yeah, I guess when they start biting into the flesh, the creature spasms, and we all get sort of thrown around and pushed out the hole. We pass into like part of the intestine or something, and we get covered in this bile slime rubbish. So we're all like saturated in this 2-inch thick muck. But we are in another area, so you know.
Mr. Whittle, and I think that, like, you know, this wasn't a devil's bargain, so I'm not going to play it too heavy, but definitely the creature in its entirety is shaking now. Like, nothing is stable. It's clearly dying as those creatures tunnel out of its body. You're really on the clock now. Mr. Whittle, as he sort of scrapes a layer of slime away from his mouth so he can speak, will just sort of start vociferously protesting about the incredible scientific riches that he was observing down in the birthing chamber, and now we're back in the stomach. Who cares about the stomach?
You're covered in biological samples. I think you need to take what you get and be grateful for it.
Probably be worth a lot.
Oh, excellent point. So you do find yourself in you know, something like a stomach. It is a big space again, heavy with humidity, kind of resembles a massive cavern. There are a series of churning acidic pools that are slowly digesting, you know, odds and ends, fish, metallic, you know, bits of metal and wood, all kinds of strange things. But you can also see that, you know, you'd heard that there were ores and metals that could be mined inside the Blindrikia, and that's what you see here as well. There are lots of pools glowing with sickly green colors, but there's also outcroppings of shimmering metals and things like that. There are also, again, very many of the immune bodies. No, well, you've seen so many of them before. There's maybe, you know, 3 or 4 that you can see around the chamber, looking a little discombobulated as the Balindrikia starts to shake and die. Ordinarily, the set goal here is collect samples of valuable resources, but as the creature starts to die beneath you, I don't know if that's exactly your priority. But you can pursue that if that's what you want. So, Mahira, this was your suggestion about which way to go. What next?
Well, I am going to exchange a token for gold immediately. Looking around, you know, and I will also, I mean, if I perform a hunt roll, I am trying to find a way out as well. You know, trying to think about how we can go from the stomach up through. Perhaps we have some equipment in our backpack, and we may be able to find a way to haul ourselves up. I don't think we're going to be able to pull the. I don't even know what to call that. Gardening trick that Parda did, pull that off again.
The thing might be. I think the little hatchling that you brought up here is probably struggling to survive now that it's not in the water and not in its, you know, not in the kind of womb-like area of the body. Mahira, you are able to just pick up a small sample of one of these ores that's worth 1 gold. Cool. Barda, how do you feel as you see Mahira just sort of stop to chisel some ore off the wall as this thing dies all around you and you realize that your life is in terrible danger?
Well, I mean, Parda is obviously a little bit tempted to make a little bit of scratch. She's a little bit torn between her greed and her cowardice. So, but I think that she's gonna be looking for a way out.
Well, so Mahira said first that he was looking for a way out. So why don't you go ahead and make a hunt roll to see if you can find an escape route.
Cool.
Is this okay? Yeah.
Do you have a relevant skill? I guess anatomies and things are still going to apply. Encounter something terrible. So you can see like the base of the throat. You can see where that comes out. There's no immediately obvious way to like climb it. There's no rope or anything like that. Maybe maybe you have some rope or something that you could use. But you can certainly see the way that you could get out. However, you also see that at least one of the immune bodies seems to be assuming that the five of you are the cause of whatever chaos, whatever tremors are radiating around everywhere, and it's sort of picking its way across the chamber towards you all. Revel, what are you doing?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of yes to no, would you classify these things as an animal?
These things, the immune bodies, I think.
Yes.
I mean, my impulse is to say no, but if you have an interesting idea, it might be more likely to be a yes.
I have the ritual inhabit.
What does that allow?
Let me possess a person or animal.
I mean, I'm interested in other people's feelings about this. My thought is that the hatchling is an animal, but that the immune bodies are not.
Okay.
Do people think that's a reasonable ruling? I'm happy to hear a case for the immune bodies being animals in their own right.
I mean,
No,
I
go
don't
ahead.
see them. Yeah, I don't see them using tools or language or anything. They do seem fairly bestial. I mean, even if Revel can do that ritual on that creature, we're still in deep shit. So it's not like a huge game changer if you let them go with it.
That's true. Richard, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say it would just be cool.
Yeah, okay. That did convince me between the two of you. So yeah, you can make a risk roll to see if you're able to possess the immune body.
Okay. My intent here is to possess the immune body and convince the others that we're all cool.
Wow, okay. Other players, what could possibly go wrong?
I think that Revel brings back some of its instincts with her and feels a need to attack us.
That's a good one.
So much better than it doesn't work, which was where I was at.
It doesn't work has to be on the table though. Blake, do you have one?
Maybe we're just not paying attention to surroundings and we get washed back down deeper into the creature or something.
Yeah. I guess that then the one I'll offer is that the other immune bodies realize what you've done and attack. So take one light-colored die if the task is something that you're skilled at. Is it?
I have rituals and performance.
Oh yeah, okay. Take another light die for accepting a devil's bargain from another player or the GM. Does anyone want to propose a devil's bargain?
Well, whether or not you succeed or fail performing this ritual, the knowledge of the ritual being performed and is somehow runs against the code of the swirling court, is it? And so that is like a blasphemous use of this particular ritual.
I think that it's that inhabiting this immune body is so alien that it permanently warps your mind.
Blake?
Nah, not at the minute.
So I think that the devil's bargain that I will offer is, regardless of whether you succeed or fail, the sort of contact that you make with this creature somehow begins very slowly to transform your body into something more like the immune body itself. You start slowly turning into one of them.
They're
Would you
already
like?
part scarecrow. Jeez.
Nothing really to lose. Do you want to take any of those devil's bargains?
Oh, yeah. Again, yeah, all of them. I think I like the body mods, Revel. I think I'm gonna go with slowly turning into an antibody.
Okay. And because it's a ritual, you have to use the dark die, so that's risk 2-1. Oh, how are you all rolling so well today? It's incredible to me. All right. Well, you succeed. Describe how.
Revel kind of starts looking at these antibodies and then back at the others and then back at the antibodies and goes, "I'll be right back," and falls flat on their ass. And one of these antibodies turns around and is just winging it, moving the body like, "It's fine, guys," trying to put out good vibes. I'm coming up to the others and scuttling up and sniffing them like a puppy, kind of.
Amazing.
They're cool. They can hang.
And then just back to your own body once you've satisfied them.
Yes.
Right.
Wait, they've got like little claws, right?
The
Or
immune
was that the other
bodies.
ones?
Well, great question. Let me just double check. No, they have more like human arms.
Okay.
Sort of centipede bodies with like dozens of human arms off each side.
Would it be easier to get some gems out of the wall in this form or my own?
Probably in this form, I would think.
All right.
Well, go ahead and make a hunt roll. I think that you can have a die for using the environment to your benefit, since you are using the body of an alien creature. So hunt 2.
Okay.
So I think that even though you've convinced the immune bodies that everyone is okay, doing this has disturbed the delicate ecosystem of the stomach. And the immune body that you're inside is itself attacked. A half dissolved thing, a sort of swirling mound of mucus and fragments of biological material, just sort of flings itself at the immune body and starts to eat away at it. I think that you are at some risk from this happening, like the harm could be transmitted, through the psychic connection. And I guess your options are to fight it, or to try and quickly return to your body, which will probably be another risk roll.
Can I throw Whittle at it?
I suppose you can. Yes.
Well, I need to roll for that.
Well, I'll come back to you in a sec. I just want to check, like, what's Revel's thought to do in this moment, and then we'll resolve what Talia might do. Sorry, I'm muted.
I think Revel would be trying to get back into their own body, but if Talia was going for a throw, that would be the main attraction.
All right. So, Talia, do you mean like literally pick up Mr. Whittle and fling him at this thing?
Absolutely. Fuck that guy.
All right. Well, I think that has to be a risk roll as well. So tell us what you're hoping to achieve.
Just I'll just pick him up and chuck. And obviously this thing will be knocked down or busy with that. And the friendly creature that Revel is, it can sort of gives them a bit more time to back out of it, hopefully.
Yeah.
I guess what could go wrong would be I slip because there's all this stuff on the floor and, I didn't have my stance. Yeah, I didn't have my stance right before I chucked him.
Does anyone else have something that could go wrong here?
Even more embarrassing than slipping would be that Mr. Whittle bests you.
That was going to be mine as well. Mr. Whittle has unexpected martial arts prowess. Anyone else?
There's emotional damage involved, just that look of betrayal.
That's a good one. All right. So take one light-colored die if the task is something you're skilled at. I think athletics clearly applies here. So devil's bargains. Does anyone have a devil's bargain for throwing Mr. Whittle at the half-dissolved thing? I think that my devil's bargain is that you succeed regardless of whether you succeed or fail, the half-dissolved thing is like, Mr. Whittle gets some of this thing off him and is himself, dissolved, becomes part of the half-dissolved thing, and that's the new problem that you must deal with, the Mr. Whittle thing.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I think that Mr. Whittle's shouting and protestations draw some other unwelcome attention.
Sorry. Regardless of whether or not you succeed or fail, Mr. Whittle imprints upon you. And if you fail, he's going to want to spend time with you to remind you of it. And if you succeed, he will be impressed by you and want to spend time with you, sort of thing.
What the hell?
Romy?
Pass. That's good.
All right. Will you take any of these devil's bargains?
I don't really want him to hang around more. He's a pain in the ass. I'll go with the attracts more attention, so it's a Black Hawk Down sort of scenario.
All right. Well, do you want to go ahead and roll a risk 2, and you can then consider. Oh. So you can add a dark die and re-roll, but that is, let's see, you succeed, but there's some kind of complication.
Yeah, I'll go with that. That's fine.
All right. So you throw Mr. Whittle, through the air. He sort of smacks into the immune body that Revel is inside. I think that'll jolt you back to your own body. This sort of roiling mass of mucus sort of detaches from the immune body and spheres itself across Mr. Whittle, and you see him start to melt into it. The complication will be that the water starts to follow you up out of the tunnel that you bored through the lining to get back into the stomach. So this chamber is flooding now as well. Mahira, you have seen a way out. You just have to figure out a way to climb the throat, which opens in the ceiling of this chamber, high above you. Do you have an idea about how you're going to do that?
Revel, do you have anything in your backpack? Do you have any rope? I think we have amongst us pickaxe. I have a pole. We could maybe use a grappling hook. This is all of the things that we need.
The blank spaces in our backpack equipment with the drop-down menus, we can just add to that?
Yes.
You can add to it from the list. From the drop-down.
Yeah. So I think everybody in the party has used something that collectively, if we combined them with a piece of rope, we'd be able to grappling, hook, pole, etc. My rope got lost. That's why I asked.
Fishing rod.
Yeah.
We put a grappling hook at the end. There we go.
All right, Mahira, it sounds like a plan. Is anyone not ready to flee this chamber? Does anyone have business they want to attend to before they leave?
I've got some lead bottles. I was just going to empty them out, and an air bladder as well, and just stuff whatever I can from that chamber, be it stomach acid, be it anything. I figured it's got to be useful to an alchemist somewhere, so just stuff in there. All
right. Well, sorry, and Richard.
Oh, I want to try to grab Mr. Whittle's rucksack.
the big leather bound. I think he just came down with a big leather bound book. I think that's the only thing he's carrying.
Oh, he's not carrying samples or anything, and
yeah, I don't think so. He was expecting to be able to, pop back in and out at his leisure after this initial expedition.
All right. Well, I'll definitely try to get his journal then.
All right. Well, I think that'll be a hunt roll for each of you, just to see what you find. So let's start with Talia. A hunt roll. Do you have any? Oh, you've got the lead bottles. So yeah, roll a hunt too. Kind of something terrible. Running out of terrible things in here. Now that you've convinced the immune bodies that you're all okay. Oh yeah. So I think that what will happen is that as the water starts to fill the chamber, you see that some more immune bodies have been washed up out of the birthing pit into this part of its body. Not quite attacking yet, but swimming up towards you. Certainly a danger.
Yep, I'll go rear guard, but but I'm keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, and Parda, do you want to make a hunt roll?
Yeah.
So you'll definitely take his book. There's no reason that you can't do that. Yeah. But let's just see what else happens.
Okay, and I think dexterity or stealth would be relevant to this.
Oh yeah, you're trying to do it without the half dissolved thing noticing.
Okay. 4.
You get a token, but you encounter something terrible. So I think that the half dissolved thing. So you definitely get Mr. Whittle's book away from him, but the half dissolved thing starts to ooze onto your arm, desperately grasping at you. This oozing, flailing mess of different creatures with lots of eyes melting across its weeping flesh. Are you going to fight it? What are you going to do?
I'm going to try to knock it off of it grabbed onto my arm. How big is it?
So I guess it's about the size of a dog, but it's kind of oozing and elongated. The tendril or tentacle that it's extended out of it has sort of wrapped around your arm.
All right. Yeah, I'm let's see. All right, I am going to I'm gonna break a bladder of deer musk on it.
What's your intention? What are you trying to do?
To confuse its senses and make it it's a potent thing that might stun it into letting go.
All right. Cool. Well, that sounds like a risk roll as well. We know what you're hoping will happen. Ask the other players what could possibly go wrong. Anyone?
It's really slippery, and part of slips sort of further into the chamber instead of away from.
The deer musk has a bad chemical reaction with the other stuff, and it actually acts more more acidic and more painful.
Remy?
Parda gets covered in the smell too, so it can track her easily.
I think mine will be that it just dissolves your forearm. So, you're using a piece of equipment, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Does anyone want to offer a devil's bargain? I have a devil's bargain that I would like to propose, which is that it doesn't like whether it dissolves your forearm or not. Like there is some dissolving, some merging, some melting that happens, and you find yourself, at least until you can get back to civilization, attached to Mr. Whittle. Your bodies fused together.
Okay.
Does anyone else want to offer a devil's bargain?
Instead of being linked physically, they're linked psychically.
Mm-hmm.
These are harsh. Wow.
Blake, do you have one to offer? Maybe
No,
something more
I don't want to top those. They're excellent.
Joe?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna follow Blake's lead. I'm gonna pass.
All right.
I thought Whittle was dissolving, and
He is dissolving, but perhaps if he is attached to your circulatory system, that will keep him alive for some time.
I'll go with the physical attachment. That's fine. I'll bite.
All right. Well, go ahead and roll.
4.
So let's see. A 4 is what? A success with a complication. You can add a dark die and re-roll if you want.
It's less than a 50-50 chance of getting a better result. So no, I'll take it.
All right. So Mr. Whittle will look at you quite surprised as he realizes that your bodies are now attached to each other. Where is the point of attachment?
Well, I mean, it's at the arm. It's like his hand is attached to my forearm.
Yeah. And he will look at that in significant surprise and say, "How fascinating!" Yeah. Very excited. You can see the joy in his eyes. But then he realizes that it's you, and that the light dims. Let's take a short break here. This seems like a good opportunity. And we'll come back about 5 minutes past the hour, if that's okay? Sweet. Cool. Are we all good to continue? Sweet. So, Parda, you have just successfully disoriented the half-dissolved thing sufficiently that it stopped attacking, but you are now merged at the sort of forearm/wrist with Mr. Whittle, to both his delight and frustration. Probably not at all to your delight. Do you say anything to Mr. Whittle? You're muted.
If we get out of this, we're gonna have to have a talk about what you owe me for it.
What I owe you? Good Lord. They are, well, all debts shall be paid. Imagine the scientific value of this. And he sort of holds up the pair of your arms. But there is a complication from your risk roll. The complication is that all of you notice something is climbing down out of the creature's throat. Something that will block the way for anyone trying to escape that way. You've seen these things before. You saw one of them down below. It has no head. It has 4 legs. It has strong arms. And Parter, can I just ask, are you still leading around a leashed hatchling? Or did you abandon that?
I don't. Well, I mean, I don't see why I couldn't have continued to do so. So yeah, and I'm gonna attempt to like kind of bulldoze through this thing with the hatchling.
So I think that's just not going to work. The hatchling is like a little baby. This thing is intent on getting the hatchling back, and it looks intent on violence upon you individually. Are you like, what will you do? I think Mr. Whittle. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, I'm saying like I will. Is if it's clear to me that it wants the hatchling, I'm just gonna like kind of toss it toward it and let it have it.
I think Mr. Whittle will catch the hatchling as you try and throw it away and say, "Oh, you insane! The scientific value of this specimen is beyond." And the thing is upon you. And
okay.
You can fight it or not, but the group as a whole is going to have to fight this thing, I think.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm like, if I don't fight it, I don't know who's gonna. So,
well, it's hard to imagine Talia not stepping up. Who's going to join the fight?
Well, yeah, taking a fondness for Parta and Mr. Whittle. So.
Talia, are you in?
Yeah.
And Revel?
If I look around, do I see anything that could possibly be used to hit something real hard?
Well, you can make a hunt roll.
I'd love to. I think it will be just the one. Oh.
No. So I mean, I think that you find like this thing is adequately the terrible thing that you encounter. Do you have any tokens that you're losing?
4 of them.
Oh my god, that's 4 gold just washed away. The you find a mining pick. You can use it to join the combat if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
All right. So all of you are in. I think this is the first time all of you have fought something. It's exciting. So when you attempt to defeat a monstrosity, first say how you expose yourself to injury or attack. Let's start with Parter.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm right on the front line. This thing is just like directly engaging with me and Whittle. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's right where I am.
Mahira. Yeah, I wasn't prepared with my bow, and I have like my kind of equipment out, trying to makeshift stuff for our escape. So I'm coming in close with a mallet and an iron spike. So I'll be right up next to it and exposed.
Nice. Talia?
I'm actually coming in from the rear, since it's having a bit of a waltz with Parter. So if it's got any sort of tail, slap tail, trip tail stinger thing, I'm going to get it.
Yeah. And what about Revel?
Just by, bias of not being a fighter, this is not Revel's thing. I'm angry, I'm swinging, and I'm reckless.
Nice. So now all of you need to roll a weak point. So just /weak.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, 3 of you have the weak point 3.
There could be a TPK coming up.
So, what happens next?
Wait, does Parter have to roll twice?
For Mr. Whittle? No, I don't
Yeah.
think so. Mr. Whittle is not involved in the combat. Mr. Whittle is trying to save the hatchling. So now, gather a dark die for each treasure hunter involved and roll all of them together. Does somebody want to volunteer to roll the 4 dark dice? Romy, it's your first combat. I think that you should do the honors.
Oh God. So sorry that is.
So I think that's /combat 4. All right. So there's good news and bad news. Well, actually, maybe there isn't any good news. So everyone whose weak point is 3 takes 1 point of ruin. Yeah. What does that look like? You do not defeat it. It continues to fight, and what you see is that its sort of fleshy shell contracts as you all attack it, and creates some sort of armor, makes it harder to fight, makes it harder to hurt. I'm going to ask those of you who took ruin in this round, can you tell us like what specifically hurt you? Let's start with Gerald. You were up close. Oh, sorry, Mahira.
Yeah. Well, one of those arms, I think, has like claws on the ends of the arms. And is that all right?
Sure.
So one of the 4 arms wrapped around me before I could get the mallet and spike and just cut across my chest.
Revel, was this your first time ever like swinging steel against a monstrosity?
One that knew it was coming,
Yeah, fair.
which is a
and how were
different
you
vibe,
hurt?
I think. I
Yeah.
think that hurt a lot. It was more of a mental injury than anything. I think there's some bigger guys taking the bigger girls and guys taking the bigger hits. Yeah, this hurt, losing all those tokens and swinging and not getting it. It really hurts.
Yeah.
Rebel's just like kind of cowing a bit.
And Talia, you're really on the brink now. What happens to you?
I think this thing's back leg sort of kicked me backwards, and I fell on some of those bits of mineral and ore. And because my breastplate's damaged and I don't have a helmet, it just, bruised and cut me quite a bit.
All right. So in the second round of combat, we add a dark die. So now you'll be rolling 5 dice. Who would like to do the honors this time?
I'll do it, and I think Talia will say, "Revel, look after my snakes." If I don't make it out of this.
Wow.
Ow.
So somebody is hurt.
Oh, I've got armor.
Oh, yeah. So mark the armor and you'll take no
yeah.
damage. Well, what does that look like? How does it hit your armor?
Well, I think that it's trying to grab onto me, and it pulls it like latches onto the armor and pulls it off instead. It's like trying to like fuse with me, like some kind of flesh to flesh contact, and it gets interrupted by the armor.
Nice. And Talia, how do you kill it?
As it's kind of getting into Parter, I just stab it in sort of various organs up its body until it stops wriggling.
Mm-hmm. And as it dies, so I guess the good news now is that you can roll 11 gold dice to find out how much you harvest from its body.
Come, Mahira, go for it.
So sorry, is that just like gold 11?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Ah,
Wow. So I think you're going to have to bring the whole body with you because you don't have time to harvest the valuable organs right now. In fact, Mahira, if you don't get this going with the rope, everyone is about to drown. What are you doing?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I was working with the spikes and the mallet and trying to pool our resources. Revel being kind enough to offer a fishing pole, and we are going to use the pole with the grappling hook and try and wind our way up.
Nice. So that will be a risk roll. Just before we do that, I just want to mention, sorry, Parta, you have the condition 1 with Mr. Whittle now. If you could just mark that as a condition, so that we have a way to resolve that. But sorry, Mahira, we know what you're trying to do. Does anyone want to suggest something that could possibly go wrong?
Maybe the boat's left. They've just got they're not coming out, and they've just buggered off. So we get out, and there's no one there.
Yeah, good one.
I think the stuff causes a coughing fit in the creature's throat.
Romy?
The fishing line breaks.
I think that I'll offer the creature has already sunk so deep that if you were to swim back to the surface, you would all get the bends, and there's no decompression chamber on your ship. So, all right, take 1 light-colored die. You're using some equipment, things like that. So that's a yes. Devil's bargains. Who has a devil's bargain to propose?
Those children that burrowed through will remember us.
Anyone else?
I think that all these toxic biological compounds leave a lasting respiratory illness.
Mm-hmm. Talia? Blake?
We're already in such deep shit. Maybe there's we lose some gold because we get covered in stomach bile acid and stuff, and some of our gear and our gold gets damaged.
How much gold? Let's be clear about the stakes.
Oh, like 1 each.
I don't think I have any other devil's bargains to offer. So, do you want to take any of those?
Talia, I don't think we can lose any more gold. We're already in a bad way. Mahira is going to take the respiratory illness for the party. That'll be I mean, presumably that was just on offer for one of us. I wouldn't. Okay, cool. Yeah, Mahira will take that.
All right, so let's make that a condition as well. So just put down the condition respiratory illness.
Yeah, every time, okay, so that's
2 light die.
All right, cool.
You can add the dark die if you want, but you can roll first and see how you go. So again, you can add a dark die and re-roll, but that is a success with a complication.
I'll take the complication.
All right. So it works. So tell us how you so you throw up this thing, you climb up the rope, all of you are able to get up. How do you force open the epiglottis from inside?
I know from my knowledge of animals that you can cause kind of a reverse gag reflex, if you will, just if you reach in that crevice right behind there, and so I've got my hand up in there trying to sort of just get that to go so that it opens up just enough.
Yeah.
But I have to hold that while the rest of the party goes through, I think.
So I think that what you'll find is that the complication is that the mouth, which is what you're climbing into now, is already full of water. Some of it streams past you down. There's maybe some like licks of vomit coming up from the creature's stomach because you've triggered its gag reflex, mixing with the water in the mouth. But all of you will have to hold your breaths and find a way out of the mouth, like figure out a way to prise its jaws open or get it to open its mouth before you all drown. But you succeed, so now you're all holding your breath in the creature's mouth. Its jaws shut. You feel yourself sinking. What will you do?
As a player, could Mahira use the burrow ritual to basically get it to...
I'm not sure.
I have wondered about that myself.
What is the burrow ritual?
Well, the wording is move through the ground, and I was wondering if the beast was large enough that it constituted sort of ground to burrow through.
Yeah, I would think so. But does that just work for you? Is it going to work for everyone?
Well, would make a hole. I mean, it would
Makes
be
a tunnel.
Yeah, make it, it's like hatchling plus. I'm bigger than a hatchling, so.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a risk roll if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right. So, what do you? I guess we know what you're hoping will happen. You're hoping to tunnel out so that you can swim to the surface. Is that fair? What could possibly go wrong?
It opens onto deep water, and it just higher pressure water comes shooting in.
No. I guess another thing that could go wrong is that it just doesn't count as ground for the purpose of this ritual. It just won't work. Anyone else?
You get through, but the wound kind of closes back up, so we can't really get back through.
Talia? Blake?
Nope, that's...
All right. Do you have a skill or piece of equipment that you're using here?
Well, I could try to jumpstart the burrow with my mallet and spikes.
I'm not convinced that's how the ritual works.
Okay. Well, skills-wise, I mean, beasts, my knowledge of the animal, I would know the best place to burrow.
Yeah, okay. I buy that. All right. Devil's bargains. What could go wrong? Oh, sorry, not what could go wrong. What could happen regardless of success or failure?
Wherever we get out is really far from where we're getting picked up, and it's going to be a struggle to make it there.
This use of the ritual is so unorthodox that there will be consequences later for this blasphemy.
Blake?
There's so much sort of water and muscle movement that one of us gets kind of washed further in, but the rest can get out. And if that case, I'll volunteer as tribute.
So just for clarity, I think that's a good devil's bargain, but it can't be that everyone else necessarily gets out. But certainly that one of you gets separated works as a devil's bargain. Just because the devil's bargain has to trigger whether it succeeds or fails.
Yep.
All right, I don't have anything better than those, so What do you think?
So just to clarify on that last one, one of us has separated. I'm not necessarily by picking it dooming Talia to certain death, because I don't want to say yes to that if that's what it is. But I would
You
totally
can tell yourself that.
I'm happy either way. It's all good.
Oh, what were the other two? I just don't think I can do it. Sorry, Talia.
I think Talia knows she can't pay her debts, so she
Yeah.
as well.
And then the other one that had an appeal was so far away, we're like stranded island or whatever kind of thing too. That just seems like another desperate situation. I don't know. Sorry,
Well-
Talia. What were we gonna say? Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that, stranded probably doesn't really work as a devil's bargain because it only works if you succeed in getting out.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
as appealing as I find that as an end to the story, I think that mechanically it's not going to work. So does that mean that you're going to abandon Talia?
Well,
I mean, you can just roll with one light die.
It means that one of us will be separated. All right, so that's a risk 2.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, it's a risk 3. Sorry, risk 2-1 because you have to use the dark die when a ritual is involved.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
That's a 4. So a 4 is a success with a complication, or you can add a dark die and reroll.
Right, and I don't understand the rules for that, so I will add the dark die, and y'all can help me understand what that means.
So it just means that now you're going to roll a risk 2-2.
Yeah, no, I don't understand what the extra 1 has to be higher than your rune to make a thing. That part always confused me. So
Okay, well, what is your rune at the moment?
it is 3.
Okay, so it's not going to go up because your dark die is the same. So now you've rolled a 5. The 5's on a light die. It's your highest roll, so I don't think... Oh, it does say you can add a dark die and reroll. So again, you're still at a success with a complication, or you can add a dark die and reroll.
Okay. Let's just keep pushing our luck then.
Nice. So your ruin will go up by 1, but you'll succeed. So tell us, what happens that causes your ruin to increase?
I feel like it. I'm burrowing, and I know this isn't Earth, but I'm still trying this ritual. We're desperate, and it's not working immediately, but I am able to sort of force it, but that force is like it causes me like great internal psychic trauma to sort of bend nature in that way, I guess you might say.
Nice. So all of you are able to tunnel out, save for Talia. It's your lungs are bursting, but you all make it back to the surface. You're able to get yourselves hauled back up on the deck of the ship. Talia, or I guess there's a question for Blake really. Do you want this just to be your final moment, or do you want to try and fight your way out?
So that would be like a hunt roll or something, or
well,
a risk roll,
I guess you'd have to come up with a way that you're going to try and escape because the burrow is not open to you.
Well, I've got a pickaxe and a sword. I mean,
you're just going to try and hack your way through the teeth, or what?
Yeah, no, or through the side of the mouth or the neck or something.
Oh, like through the cheek.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that'll be a risk roll for you.
Yeah, might as well.
So, we know what you're trying to do. Players, what could possibly go wrong?
He could get crushed by the teeth.
Yep.
So Talia, your pickaxe breaks, and you pull out your sword, and your sword breaks, and you are left to drown in desperation.
Romy?
All the movement has started to make this creature kind of tilt and turn, and it turns out that where Talia gets through is just deeper into the water, and there's not enough time to get up.
And I think that I'll offer that the immune bodies may get into the mouth, and you drown before you're able to fight them off.
Oh.
A beautiful selection. I think you get one light-colored die for athletics and for the equipment that you're using. Does anyone want to offer a devil's bargain?
Yeah, your hand gets crushed between the teeth and you lose it.
Oh, that was your worst fear. That's a great one. I would like to just leave that on the table, but does anyone else have a suggestion for a different devil's bargain? All right, so the devil's bargain is your worst fear.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, and I think that if your hand's going to be crushed regardless, then your body is at risk, so you'll need to use a dark die as well. So
Great.
risk 2-1. Ooh. You succeed. How does it feel as the teeth crush one of your hands beyond repair?
Oh, I'm screaming in agony, and I'm sort of scared and shaking. But it's like, well, I can actually get out.
Yeah, you probably inhale some water as you scream, and then.
Oh yeah, I'm covered in blood and stomach acid, and my arm's broken. I'm a bloody mess, literally, and my rune's at 5. So this is not Talia's shining moment, but she's alive, so she'll do a comeback somehow.
All right. And I guess that one of your companions will have to help you up onto the boat when you manage to get to the surface. But all of you have survived. Congratulations. I would like to do a quick round of Hearthfire. It's kind of more mid for ongoing play, but I think it would be nice, like before we get to epilogues, maybe just to get you each to pick one of those prompts that you'd like to respond to as a Hearthfire round, whether you're stashing gold or creating a household. Establishing a household, if you don't already have one, will let you clear any conditions. So Parda, you could get yourself detached from Mr. Whittle. Or alternately, I would love to hear about the little sitcom that emerges of you and Mr. Whittle living together. But let's go. Well, I'll give you a sec to have a read over the Hearthfire if you want to think about what you'd like to do. And then, does anyone have an idea?
Not yet.
If we have no tokens.
So you don't need tokens. How much gold do you have?
I have the 2, but that's also my burdens.
All right. So you clear your burden. So you have no gold left over. You can't do anything that will cost you gold. You can do things that would increase your burden. So I think that's like training or establishing a household if you haven't already. I can't quite remember if that's something you did last time.
No.
All right. So yeah, you're welcome to establish a household that will also heal you 1 ruin. Do you want to do that?
I'd like to do that. Yeah.
All right. So first up, tell us about what kind of structure or environment is your household.
Parda was the first of us to get a household, correct? I think, however misguided, Revel thinks it would be so much fun if they were neighbors. So I buy the house next door.
Nice. What's the house like?
It's probably a little more run down because I think that's more my vibe and also what I'm comfortable in. The inside's pretty ragtag, messy, needs a lot of work, but it's home.
Nice. And now each of us gets to name a memento. Well, each of you gets to name a memento from your journeys together that can be found in Revel's household. Parda, what memento will you give Revel?
Parda gives her them a journal, a blank journal.
Nice. Mahira?
I think that Mahira gives Revel a drawing that that they have done depicting the scarecrow, the pumpkin over the head thing from from earlier on, and it's just sort of like Revel in this heroic but sort of awkward pose. And it's just done on a a piece of paper that they had swiped and salvaged.
Nice. And Talia, what about you?
I don't know. Maybe it's like the nameplate of the Copernica, the boat.
Nice.
Just somehow that washed up in my backpack, and I'm like, oh.
It is all proudly displayed.
All right. So I'm most excited to hear about what happens with Mr. Whittle. So I would like to leave Parda till last, if that's okay, just to have something to look forward to. So let's hear what Talia will do. Will Talia satisfy her burdens?
Well, Mahira's going to give me some cash, and I'm just going to do the narrator scene showing the private side. And I think they're having a chat in a cabin on the way back. And Talia's quite upset. She's quite wounded, and she's saying, I've failed you all. I let you down. We barely made it. I should have protected you. And, she's crying and shaking. It's not a side that the others have seen much. It's just really upset. But
yeah,
I don't know how Mihira responds.
So that was in front of me. Sorry.
Yeah.
A little uncomfortable, but I think Mahira has a lot of guilt and says so too about, I let you down. I wasn't able to get you through the tunnel with the rest of us, and I won't let that happen again.
Well, she says, look, I've been thinking a lot about, well, one, I don't ever want to come on a boat again. I'm staying on land from now on, but also I like traveling with you. I've been listening to what you've been saying, and I want to help you free Tiriolus. I think I'll come with you and help you, if that's all right.
Yeah, that is. I would welcome that. And then of my 5 gold, I give to...
Nice. And then, Mahira, do you have a half-fire prompt you want to respond to?
I was looking over all the ones I could do for free because I have no monies. I think the sort of similarly like a healing, but and I already unfortunately did the sort of beautiful place in town, and you wouldn't know it from Mahira's body type, but they actually do try to keep fit. So he does some running. Actually, is a little embarrassing, but that's Mahira's trying to get fit and be ready for the next adventure.
Nice. Parda, what about you?
Yes. Well, okay, so first off, because of my household, I'm gonna heal 1 ruin and end my one with Mr. Whittle condition.
Yeah.
But before Mr. Whittle has a chance to leave, I make it clear to him that I'm going to be holding on to the journal that he kept all his observations in, and that perhaps he can bargain with me to get some tidbits of useful knowledge out of that.
He will be, of course, just shocked and appalled that you would interfere with the valuable scientific knowledge he has acquired in this way.
Yeah, it's very appalling. I wish there was something I could do about it, but
the Chancellor will hear about this.
I don't think the Chancellor will if you want any of this data.
Yeah. Well, he will shuffle away with his head low, muttering about treasure hunters and how they can't be trusted.
All right, and then I'm going to spend 3 of my 7 gold to purchase a stake in the tavern.
Nice. From now on you get 1 free piece of information whenever you carouse there. That's nice. All right, well, I would like now just to do a quick round of epilogues. So, sadly, this was our last session, but just a scene or vignette where you tell us about something that happens to your hunter after we finish up. Whether that's, could be to satisfy their drive, could be to die trying, could be anything at all that you feel like. So let's go, again, just left to right across the character keeper. So what is Mahira's epilogue?
I think I'm going to leave it a little open, but you see the back of Mahira and the back of Talia and maybe the back of another figure you can't quite make out. So the camera comes up over the backs while we're crouched and looking from a hilltop down into the valley of Tyrolis. And I'm just pointing out, like, here's where we'll strike first. And then it's just sort of like, it's a planning sort of scene, and it just sort of fades out.
Nice. Parda?
All right. So what we see is a series of interactions stretched out over what's probably years of Parda and Whittle interacting. We kind of see like Whittle coming in, and each time he comes with, like, he'll have a book, or you'll see them having some kind of conversation, him giving her a scroll or some kind of document. And but each time you see Parda's this like web of influence and information that she's built up is just a little bit bigger. And then you see like her handing over her forged book to give to Whittle to plant for the Chancellor to find and be disgraced due to his having staked himself to an untenable intellectual position. And we see Parda kind of looking on with satisfaction as he is voted out of the chancellorship by the Board of Governors.
Nice. And Talia?
There's probably a farewell scene where Talia's trying to, asking Revel to look after the snakes, who will probably be full grown by now, and shows how to put food around the area because that attracts mice and rats, and that'll keep the babies fed, and even though they're not babies anymore. And then there's probably a few cutscenes of Charlie and Mahira sort of doing odd jobs and incursions at areas as they make their way towards Tyrolis.
Nice. And Raffle, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a pretty quick montage, mostly focused on Rebel's little home. They spend a lot of time with the Scarecrow sitting at the kitchen table, just studying these rituals and trying to make it as deadly as possible. But slowly start spending less and less time hitting the books and more time having Talia, Parda, and Mahira over for tea, very questionable tea, and going out on little adventures. And then the house starts filling up with these snakes and little trinkets, and they're spending less time with the books. And one day they came home and the Scarecrow's gone. And we don't know if it's been deployed or removed.
Oh.
In one of those scenes, is a Scarecrow sitting at the tea table as if it's sipping tea with us.
Yes, in all of them.
That was fantastic. So thanks so much, everyone. That's the end of the game. I would love to just do a quick round of stars to wrap up. We won't do wishes because there is no more sessions. But let's just go back right to left across the character keeper with just a star or two. So Remy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I want to say the first little note I took down with a star just says, yeehaw. That was for Parda, wrangling that little creature. That was really great. I think everyone we were really on it tonight. It was a lot of fun. We kind of just threw it all away and went for it. Talia throwing Mr. Whittle, that was so great. Mahira just being level-headed and watchful through the whole thing, and then bringing us home with the burrow, our hero. That was awesome. And Shane, you just rolled with our BS completely, and it was so much fun. I think everyone's devil's bargains were on it tonight, but yours in particular were just so perfect. It was such a great wrap-up.
Thank you. Blake?
First thing that comes to mind is Parda. It's like her spite or her anger is forged by steel. She was not going to be persuaded from that course, and it was wonderful to just see that, like, nope, this is who I am. Those bastards are going to pay. And that was great to sort of role play alongside of. Yeah, it's just it was good. We were all consistent with sort of who the characters were. I was kind of curious whether Parda or myself was going to get half the party killed or something, but Revel and Mahira sort of kept us afloat, so it was all good. And some very good devil's bargains all around. That was good fun. I'd definitely happily play with any of you again.
Richard?
Yeah, well, first, I really liked how again, about people's devil's bargains and what could go wrong is it really had teeth this time, no pun intended. But and I really appreciated that. Parda is too wicked to be punished, so I think it's. But I did, I liked just the kind of creeping sense of desperation that it was just like, we went from consistently one bad situation into a worse one. All the way to the surface. It was like fundamentally hopeless, and I thought that was really great.
Thank you. The only star that Jill.
Yeah, I mean, I second. I think maybe it might be third, fourth. I'm not sure. The intensity of the devil's bargains, I think, is certainly noteworthy, and something to carry forward. When we play Trophy again, down the line, whether that be together or with others or what have you. And just sort of the all-in spirit, I think. Talia, I think you really exemplified that. Shane, I thought that there was a really good sense of like orchestration without it being, heavy-handed, if you will, sort of with what you were doing to kind of bring things together, even as we were all in, and to what I thought was a very satisfying conclusion, with the different elements that were going on. I mean, part of that tunnel move with the hatchling was not something that I was expecting at all. That was super, super awesome. So just, I think everybody being all in and just sort of the intensity, the Devil's Bargains, just, stars on all those things. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone else has said, but also I think that we have to call out a star for the dice roller that benefited you so much. The first, 5 out of the first 6 rolls in this game were 6s on the light die. If not for that, I think that not the entire party would have survived. So a real star there. I'm just going to end